Mormons, or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, are a religious group who practice Mormonism. The origin of Mormonism dates back to the 1820s, when Joseph Smith, the founder of the religion, published the Book of Mormon, which he claimed he translated from ancient Egyptian writings on golden plates that an angel showed him in Manchester, New York. Membership and conversion rates have steadily grown over 1% year over year, with over 16 million followers today in over 160 countries worldwide. My name's Anthony Padilla, and today I'm going to be sitting down with former Mormons to learn the truth behind this controversial religion's beliefs and why so many have chosen to abandon it altogether. Do these former Mormons, or ex-Mos as they are commonly referred, hold this religion and its practicing members in high regard to this day? Or do they experience nothing but disdain for the life they dedicated to practicing a faith they currently hold in contempt? Did these ex-Mos leave despite feeling a sense of family within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Or were they made to feel shame and guilt surrounding their most natural inclinations, forcing them to flee and never look back? Hello, Kai.
Hi.
Hey, Cecily.
What's up?
Just
secret. Yes.
The secret.
Yeah, now you've been initiated.
Handshake.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for coming out and teaching me about the wondrous world of ex-Mormonism.
Thanks for having me.
What do you consider yourself? Former Mormon? Ex-Mo?
Oh, definitely ex-Mormon. But
Ex-Mormon.
like we say ex-Mo in the little subreddit community, the r/ex-Mormon, but everybody calls each other ex-Mo.
I just think I'm just me.
What does being a Mormon entail?
Because there's no gray in the orthodoxy, there are only good and bad Mormons. So you're constantly trying to be a good Mormon. So start going to the temple, maybe you go on a mission, you get married in the temple, you have children, you pay your tithing, you go to church every Sunday.
It's like if you went to church regularly in any other faith, but multiplied the intensity of it maybe by 5 or 10.
It's like 10 times more intense?
Yeah, I think so, because you're expected to conform so much. I think even people who are still in the faith find it that way as well.
What was a typical day like when you were attending church?
Most Mormons have a family prayer in the morning. The kids go to school. Sometimes you have a bit of religious study in home. If you were found to have a pretty good voice, you were often drafted into the choir.
Drafted?
Yeah, whether you liked it or not.
Oh.
So I have a pretty good singing voice, where I did. And so we go to that as well, and by the time it was all done, it'd be like 6 p.m., and you'd be exhausted.
How long did you practice the Mormon religion?
Grand total practicing 23, 24 years. Didn't leave the church until a couple years ago because I was just so upset about a certain policy that came out that I was not okay with.
Well, I was born into it, and in my teenage years, I realized that I had an attraction to the same sex. Later figured out that's what you call being gay. The Mormons call it same-sex attraction.
Oh, really? They avoid the word gay?
Yeah, because they don't think that there's such a thing as being gay, at least back in the day.
What made you feel inclined to leave the church?
When I was at BYU, you have to take a certain amount of religion courses, and I took this world religion class. And I was sitting there thinking, how is nobody else putting this Jesus story as like repeated before he even shows up so many times in history? So I started having the wheels spin in my brain. I'm like, this is not just like the only true church.
So you're saying that because there were so many different religions with Jesus?
With the story of Jesus, like virgin birth and died for your sins, like that idea predates Jesus. So that started me to think about, like, is the Jesus concept even really specifically true?
I realized that they were wrong about being gay.
Yeah.
This is when there was starting to be evidence that showed that it was something that was immutable in your personality. I realized that being gay wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
And so I gradually left the faith because it just wasn't suiting who I was anymore. And so I just go through life trying to live what they call in Hawaii the spirit of aloha, which is where you show love and kindness to one another and basically help one another, kind of like the golden rule.
Right,
and that is more important to me than any religion ever would be.
Right, and that's regardless of faith or orientation or gender.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think life is better lived with love.
Before we learn more about the wondrous world of ex-Mormonism, I want to point out that videos on YouTube are now apparently being demonetized just for discussing controversial issues. For example, the ex-cult members episode that I made was demonetized manually a week after the video was released for no terrorism in the video, no catastrophic loss of life, and let's see, the only thing left then out of the reasons that they gave me for demonetizing the video is a controversial social issue. And I can only guess that discussing something like religion, like we're doing in this video, will also be considered a controversial social topic by YouTube. Therefore, it will potentially also get completely f***ed over by YouTube. So basically, your support for this series by continuing to subscribe and turn on notifications is more important than ever if you want to continue seeing topics like this one discussed, regardless of if YouTube's advertisers decide for whatever reason they have that they don't want you to see the video. That's all I wanted to say. Now back to learning about the wondrous world of ex-Mormonism. Was it difficult to leave the church, and what was that process like?
Of course it's difficult to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I had some backlash. I was in the music community. I'm a musician. I played with a lot of people that people know who they are. I got letters from people kicking me out of bands because they found out I was gay, and it was just hard on that end of it, the homophobic part. And I would walk past the temple nightly just wanting to jump in front of the car.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you would see the temple and you would associate that with...
Yeah, with like, I'm not gonna be worthy. If I do end up ever going to the temple, it's because I marry a man, and that's not gonna be something that I can do without feeling bad about myself.
Yeah.
And so long-term damage, I went to the psych ward 4 different times.
Whoa.
Yeah, if you're not a suit-wearing, dress-wearing person, and you're there every Sunday, like you get judged hardcore. So for me, it was like, either I'm this gay human being and I want to live this life, but I'm going to hell, or I'm choosing who I am. Isn't that awful? And I'm going to go to hell. So the either or is you're going to go to hell. I say hell. There's no real like hell concept in the LDS church. It's a different kind of concept. But yeah, it's a life or death situation.
How has your life changed since leaving the church?
It's like 180 degrees. It's like night and day. Realizing that I can live my life based upon my own principles and what's right for me just makes me happy.
Yeah, you get to live your truest life.
I'm not afraid of some sky daddy who's going to go ahead and curse me and send me to hell. You know? So
Is that an offensive term?
Sky daddy? I don't know. I guess it depends on how you feel about it.
What do you think about the church's efforts in rebranding a couple years ago, where they decided that the term Mormon was no longer used for its members?
You're not supposed to say Mormon anymore.
Yeah, what are you supposed to say?
Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints,
Oh,
maybe?
so they just made it easier to
very,
say.
yeah, it's like the Prince thing, formerly known as Mormons or something. Yeah.
I think part of it has to do with trying to be more mainstream.
Yeah.
And saying that you are part of the Church of Jesus Christ sounds a lot more like a Christian faith than saying that you're a Mormon. Mormons do consider themselves Christian, but a lot of non-Mormons feel that they're not.
Right. You feel like there might be a negative stigma surrounding the word Mormon?
Still, and as the Mormon Church tries to mainstream itself a bit more, I think that's going towards it, you know, is calling themselves something different.
Do you think some people watching are going to be offended by using the word Mormon in this?
I think most of them are used to the term so much, and I think there's a lot of nostalgia for it.
Right.
But they're more than willing to go along with President Nelson and do what he says because they believe that President Nelson is God's prophet on earth.
And does that mean President Nelson is communicating with God, and that's why he's changing the term?
Just like the Pope supposedly does.
When I announced this video, many current members of Mormon faith were worried that this video would paint all Mormons or Mormonism in general in a very negative light. Do you think that's the case?
I think everyone's experience is different.
Yeah.
But for me, I know there's a lot of good Mormons out there. For example, there is a huge issue still with Mormon kids who are LGBTQ getting kicked out of their homes.
Yeah.
There's this group of wonderful Mormon mothers who were very devout, you know, believed in their faith, but they also believed that these kids needed help. And so they formed a group called the Mama Dragons. And what they do is they swoop in and they rescue these kids who are kicked out of their homes. And so they make sure that these kids are all right and they give them a place to stay. And when they turn 18, they help them find their way. There's plenty of really good Mormons out there. I think a lot of them often will still attend church because they want to kind of be part of the community. And they like the service opportunities that the church gives them. I think there's a lot of good Mormons out there, and a lot of them keeping their faith because of tradition, or maybe because they're apprehensive about leaving because of the reaction they'll get.
Yeah.
But there's lots of good Mormons out there.
Are you nervous at all about showing your face on camera and
100%.
speaking about this?
100%.
Are you nervous?
100%, yeah.
And why are you nervous?
I've never been this forthright. I've posted little things here and there. But I have family members that will no doubt have a pang in their heart when they see this. Just as much as when I was Mormon and I saw a family member stop going to church, I just felt so sad for them.
Do you think they're just going to feel sad internally, or do you think they might disown you?
I think I'm past being disowned. I drop enough bricks off for them to trip on that. I think that they're past it.
Right.
They love my wife, Kate. She's badass, and so I kind of won on that one.
Hello.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I know that where I am in my life is the right place for me to be. And again, I try to operate from a source of love. And so I don't mean any of these things to be rude to anybody or to be mean.
How do you feel about the way Mormonism has been depicted in pop culture?
The South Park episode is very true to like the actual teachings of Mormonism.
Oh, so it is factual.
You get a little dicey there, because like
it seems
Joseph
like
Smith
a parody.
really looked. I know.
It does seem like a parody.
I know. Those guys got it pretty spot on.
It's sarcastic, sure.
Yeah.
And in fact, I know Mormons who even laugh at it because
Really?
they are able to laugh at themselves.
Many people have associated their time with Mormonism with cults. Did you experience personally any cult-like behavior while you were there?
That is the question of the century, because everybody that's in the EX-MO community wants to call it a cult.
Yeah.
And I watched your cult video.
I lost my family, my future, my childhood, my sense of self.
And I'm like, we are not doing that
It's not
stuff.
a cult. Yeah.
That's not.
First of all, my answer may offend some current Mormons.
Okay. Okay.
But there are certain aspects of Mormonism that are somewhat cult-like. Like culturally speaking, a lot of times people who leave are shunned, and that is a cult-like behavior. The intensity behind having to live the commandments of the church is there. Having a supreme leader is also somewhat cult-like, and that would be the Mormon prophet. So yes, but at the same time no, because it's not even close to actual real cults.
What was your most bizarre experience while practicing?
I'm at BYU. I get my first secret girlfriend, and I decide to come back to church. And the bishop decides to sit down with me. I'm sitting in his office, and he's like making sure, like, okay, what do we have to do to get you back to church? He gets out his little notepad and he starts tallying my sins. How many times did you drink? Okay, how many times did you smoke marijuana? And how many? And I'm thinking, like, I don't know, I didn't keep track. So then, this is the bizarre part. He goes, okay, so you had a girlfriend. Did you stimulate her clitoris with toys?
Is that a sin in the Bible specifically?
I think he was just very curious. Let's be real. Nobody asked that question. That's just bizarre.
That's just for him.
Thank you. That's the real thing.
If there's anyone watching who currently is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they feel like maybe their ideologies or their beliefs don't exactly align with the church's beliefs, is there anything that you'd want to say to them?
You have to take an assessment of where you are. What is going to be the fallout amongst your local Mormon community? Do you have sufficient friends outside of Mormonism that you can rely on to be your support system after you leave?
Go to cesletter.com and get more in-depth analysis and start to recognize that your shelf might be breaking, but it's okay to break your shelf.
And what do your friends and family think about you no longer being part of the Mormon community?
Yeah, my family is very conservative and very strict and very devout. And were not for the fact that I was already an adult, when I was outed at Christmas time.
You were outed?
Yeah, by one of my brothers. When I was 34, I would have been likely kicked out of my home too if I was a teenager. They've since come up with other reasons why they feel like they can't communicate with me, but I try to write them a letter every so often and say that the door is always open. If they want to meet with me and maybe bring in their pastor as a mediator, I'm happy to do that.
If one of your family members who you haven't spoken to in a while ends up watching this, is there anything that you'd want to say to them?
I'd be happy to talk about things and to work it out and to see if we can find some common ground, because I believe in love first and ask questions later, and just try to be a family again, or be a complete family again.
I hope one of them watches this and
I'd like that very much.
Gets that message. I actually have a parting gift for you, the best interviewer shirt that you can get at padildoshop.com.
Oh, I love
but
it.
for you, I'll give it to you for free.
Do you mind saying the name of that again?
It's like my last name, Padilla, pronounced wrong, Padildo.
No, not pronounced wrong, pronounced pretty cool. I'm liking that. Honey, did you hear that?
All right, you got 5 seconds to shout out or promote anything you want directly into camera. Go.
Wintergrain.com, my wife and I's band, and cesletter.com if you're questioning the church.
Contact me on Instagram. I'm at The Kai Creative, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much for teaching me a little bit more about the wondrous world of, oh God! Oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Heavenly Father.
My word, Heavenly Father, are you giving us more signs? After spending the day with these ex-Mormons, I've come to realize just how important it is to always question if our beliefs make us and those around us most happy and content with our short time on this planet. In a society that encourages acceptance of others, shouldn't we be doing everything in our power to show compassion and empathy for those we interact with, regardless of their personal lifestyles? See you later, bye guys.
Press a like.
Well, for example, there used to be Mormon.org.
Yes.
And when President Nelson announced the change, the powers that be changed it to ComeUntoChrist.org.
Ooh, I don't like the sound of that.
Well, come unto Christ means you'll be gathered by him. I know where your mind's going.